Most people spend their whole life like working towards a retirement, right? They want to work 20 plus years, get their retirement pension, and then they want to live their life. You know, I've deployed multiple times and served in various military units, and I'm like, you know what? I've served my country. Like, when are you going to serve yourself?
Wow.
When are you going to serve your family? So I was like, you know what?
I got to meet you, 2-3 years ago now.
Yeah.
Just seeing you around doing incredible things. I've watched you just blossom into, you've always been an incredible human ever since I met you.
Thanks, man.
And always appreciated you, but I've just seen your business really blossom fairly recently. So take us through that. When did you start hanging out in this investor world, and how did that desire come about?
Yeah, so I moved to Louisville 3 years ago, and that's probably when we kind of first met. I think
Yeah.
at one of this event, actually.
Yeah, was at this? We're getting ready to host an event in the other room in a few minutes, and it was at the last one.
You were actually coaching one of my coworkers. And she mentioned you, and I was like, oh, I see one of his events. Let's go check it out. I moved to Louisville 3 years ago because of the Army down at Fort Knox, and I lived in a very, very small apartment down in Louisville, like downtown. And, you know, when you're looking at a new city, you're like, oh, downtown must be a cool place to live. It was not the case. I lived in a very small apartment, paying like $1,400 a month in rent, and I kind of got fed up with it. I was like, let me go buy my first property.
Yeah.
Didn't know anything. Met a random realtor. That was great. She helped me out a lot. Taught me. She actually got me started in the investing space because she owned a couple of short-term rentals. So once I closed on that property, I had to go back to the brokerage and ask it to pick up like a check. And I said, hey, before I leave, like, I know you're an investor. Like, how do you get started? Like, what resources do you have? And she gave me the typical books, right? Like the Mike Butler book, the Local Hero of Kentucky, right? And then Bigger Pockets, all those podcasts and stuff like that. Listen to the podcast every single day, doing all this like YouTube warrior type stuff for about 8 months.
Yeah.
Now it's like November 2022. I find this property on Zillow. It goes from $100,000 to like $50,000 overnight. And I'm like, I got to go see this.
Heck yeah.
Go see it with my agent. It's all boarded up, all this crazy stuff. Find out that squatters broke into it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy this. So I offered $40,000 cash, went through my flip, went horribly, made like $2,000 off it in 6 months. And my wife and girlfriend was like, man, are you going to like quit real estate? And I'm like, even though I made $2,000 in 6 months and I was so stressed out, I probably learned $1 million worth of lessons.
What a perspective, man.
You know what I mean? Like that experience you gain from like doing your first project, going through hiring contractors and all that stuff. Like, it's like anybody starting off with their first real estate deal. It's never going to go well. You may hit some luck, but most people get burned a couple of times and then they learn. It's like touching a hot stove. Like, you're not going to touch that stove again, right? Started buying houses on the market. Eventually you run out of capital. You know, you come up across creative finance, and that's how the birth of my journey really started. So, and I've done a lot of things like that. You teach your students the lease option. I think it's an incredible technique in real estate investing. And shoot, man, that's all she wrote. I got addicted, got the bug, and started doing all this stuff now. So
that's a huge commitment, because somebody's listening to this going, holy crap, you just worked your whole life. You come, your parents being conservative and loving you are trying to keep you safe and telling you not to do this. Yet you nuked your whole retirement account to go all in on this thing that you hoped and prayed would work. Where did that even come from? Where did you find that?
Most people spend their whole lives like working towards a retirement, right? They want to work 20 plus years, get their retirement pension, and then they want to live their life.
Yeah.
I was 29 at the time, and, I've deployed multiple times and served in various military units. And I'm like, you know what? I've served my country. Like, when are you going to serve yourself?
Wow.
When are you going to serve your family? So I was like, you know what? If I don't take this chance now, I'm going to sit my 9-to-5 job until I'm like 45 and pray I have enough retirement money to retire, right? Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. So
I agree.
Like, imagine working 20 plus years and then they tell you you don't have enough money to retire. I want to take my wife out to a 5-star dinner tonight, not 20 years from now. That's crazy. So that's kind of like the big thing for me was not like the idea of like financial freedom, but just like living on my own terms.
Yeah.
Living how me and my family want to live, not, report to a job and the job says, you know what, like, we're going to fire you. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, that sucks.
Are you still in the military now? Active duty?
Yeah. So I got a couple of years left on my contract,
Yeah.
which is kind of nice. So I'm doing the real estate thing with the job. We're getting ready to, in a couple of years when I pay off my service,
Yeah.
full on business owner, right?
Heck yeah.
So we're setting up ourselves to get exit stage left and do the entrepreneur stuff full time, like, truly like living the dream, right?
And does your wife work with you in the business?
So she actually is a realtor.
Okay. Very cool.
So that's pretty cool. So she gets to list some of my properties and all that. But
Yeah.
she actually works for a direct mail company. She's their marketing director.
Very cool.
But in a couple of years, I think she's going to leave when
Yeah.
I leave my job. So it'll be we're just going to take the leap and start running stuff together. So,
Bro.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. What's the journey you're going through? You come back here 3 years ago, you're killing it, you're growing, and now you're here. You're a couple years from being able to retire from your day job
Yep.
and step into this. Like, what's going through your mind? What's exciting to you at this stage in life?
I think when you realize, you don't have to do that 9 to 5 grind, you have so much more time, right? And I think a lot of people think about when they first start their journey in like business owning or investing, whatever, they think that they're trying to break away from their job and have free time.
Yeah.
But you start to realize that everyone around you in this circle, we don't want free time,
Yeah.
right? We're all hustling to some degree. For me, what I'm excited about is imagine having 40 hours a week to chase my passion,
That's amazing.
right? Like instead of working at my 9 to 5 job, like I want to help, my long-term goal, like my legacy. I think about that stuff. I want to work towards a legacy where there's a lot of homeless veterans. There's a lot of affordability problems. I want to find a way to house all these veterans, to find them a home, find them a property, right? Like that's like my dream. But yeah, I can't really do that when I'm spending 40 hours a week at my job.
So I want to dig in a little deeper about that because that's an incredible passion. But how have you found time while you're working a full-time job? How have you found time to go ahead and, because you are actively pursuing that dream. You're actively making these moves right now. I've been watching it. Like it's incredible.
Yeah.
You're making these moves, and I use this loosely, but as if you don't have a 9 to 5. So how are you finding that balance right now?
When you really want something really bad,
Yeah.
you will find the time, right? I think the idea, and if the listeners out there disagree, it's okay. But I think you can always make some time. Like for instance, like if you're looking for your first real estate deal and you need to call sellers,
Yeah.
you get off work, 9 to 5, show up, make 30 minutes of phone calls. If that's the only time it permits you, you hang out with your family or whatever,
Yeah.
and you move on to the next day. You can find time. How many people out there go on Instagram and scroll for 2 hours a day?
Yeah.
That's 2 hours you can call somebody, make a sales call. I think that it's really how bad do you want something, right? And we all know a lot of people that say like they want to do X, Y, Z,
Yeah.
but how many people are actually doing X, Y, Z to achieve their goal, right? We all have time.
Yeah, we do.
You just got to carve it out.
That's powerful. And I think it's important to note exactly what you said. We find time to do what we want. And, whether you're a billionaire or a person on the street, anywhere in between, we all have 24 hours in a day.
Correct.
And something I think is powerful, I talk a lot about duplicating our efforts. I was just talking to Wes. We just done a podcast together. Wes is so incredible, Wes and Jake and what they've done. But we're talking about him teaching. And so he made a commitment on the podcast to go live on TikTok while he's dialing. So that's duplicating effort because as entrepreneurs, we can tend to shiny object syndrome, right? I said, when you are doing the thing, you're dialing and you turn on the camera, that is just duplicating efforts.
Yes.
And right now, I needed to make seller calls. So while I was doing, and I needed to get videos recorded. So while I was making seller calls, Tommy was recording me. So I was getting the content done, getting seller calls done, duplicating sometimes 3 and 4 deep my efforts.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you have found a way to do that. I see you doing so well on social media and what you're building in your empire. For somebody who's struggling to find the time, or maybe I should say find the purpose or passion.
Yeah.
How have you not only found the time, but tapped into that purpose with the veterans and what drives you?
Yeah, I think it takes time, and like I think like it's not like something you wake up and you're like, man, this is what I want to do. When I first started, it's really funny. Like there's a couple of friends that I know that when I first started my real estate investing, like, what are your goals? And I'm like, well, I want to buy a house every couple of years, retire from the military, and have 5 paid off houses when I'm 55. That's what I wanted to do.
Wow.
I think I bought like 8 houses my first year. So it's kind of like,
But isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Like you get this dream, because I very similar. I thought if I can save up, I can buy 12 houses over the next 20 years or whatever. Like you start to think probably from how you were raised, how I was raised, like that's huge thinking.
Money.
Like,
Huge
oh
money.
my gosh, one day I could even maybe have 30 and I could collect rent one day per month for every house. Like I would be the ultimate.
where you made it.
Right? And so then you get into the world and you realize how small we're truly thinking. So what was that moment for you to realize like 5 and 30 years?
Oh my gosh. I think that there was this guy I met at a real estate conference. This guy, I was like, hey, like, what do you do in real estate? And he's like, oh, I own like $6 billion in assets.
Oh, wow.
Right? Like he's like
That's a big number.
he's a multi-family guy. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like $6 billion? He's like, yeah, like we do a lot of syndication. Obviously, like that's a whole different thing. But, I think it was like 3,000 doors.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, okay. Like my 5 houses are like,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Let's throw this out the window. And then you meet random guys like the Branch brothers, like they are doing crazy stuff in the wholesale space. And you start to realize like, the numbers, they're limitless, right? And then as you grow as a, entrepreneur, you meet different people, different circles that are also doing bigger things.
Yeah.
And then you start to realize like, man, like if I'm doing this, I can scale into this type of business. I can do this type of thing. And really, I think everything is like you trying to solve a different problem.
Yeah.
Like that's what entrepreneurs do. We solve a problem and we get paid for it, but we're solving an issue that exists. So I think just meeting different people and being in the right circles have really opened up my eyes and my mind to like what is actually possible in this world. Right?
What's the deeper driving passion come from for you? You talk a lot about helping veterans.
Man, I think a big thing is a lot of people don't really realize there's like 22 veterans that commit suicide every day.
Wow.
Right?
22 a day.
22 a day. So there's like tons of different programs out there, like the 22 program.
7,000 a year or something crazy.
It's insane, man.
Wow, bro.
And if you think about it, like, I don't have the statistics on me, but I would imagine a lot of it is lack of culture, right? Because we've been in a culture for so long and you kind of lose your identity. But the second thing is, I would imagine it's a lot of financial stuff. Mm-hmm. Man, like living homeless, not having enough money or whatever. And they kind of give up on their lives, right? And there is a ton of homeless veterans out there. Man, like you drive around town, half the signs are like, I'm a veteran.
Yeah.
That's crazy. We have a certain skill set, especially in the real estate space. Like we know how to structure deals. We know how to find good deals. We know how to buy without the banks. And these guys and girls out there don't have the bank credentials to qualify for a loan, whatever it is. But what if I go buy a house, like a multifamily asset, make it a rent by the room, and let veterans pay lower amounts of rent? They got affordable housing. They can save money, pay off their credit card debts, get back on their feet. I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Bro, that's amazing.
Right? So I think that's like, I'm going to use the skills that I've gained throughout my life in the entrepreneur space, meeting guys like you, to learn on how to purchase these properties, restructure these properties, and put these people that really need it in affordable housing.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're not talking Section 8. We're talking about like rent by the room, where someone's paying $400 a month for a room instead of like $1,800 for a house. Think about how much money they're saving every month, every year.
That's amazing opportunity.
Right?
Sure. So much better than homeless.
Yeah.
Do you know Brad Holcomb?
I've heard of him.
Okay. Very cool guy. And he's on my mind because we just literally hung up from talking right before I come here. And he is doing the very similar mission, But rather than for veterans, it's for everybody, helping solve the affordable living crisis.
Yeah.
And I think there's some synergies there. He's a phenomenal, he worked, he was a TV producer for many years and with A&E. And he just recently has transitioned to running his own real estate investing business. So there's a lot of cool synergy. So remind me, I should connect the two of you.
Awesome. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause like, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it can grow to more than just the real estate portion, but it's more than just a real estate thing, right? Cause like if you got a certain demographic in that apartment complex, what's stopping us from providing services into that complex? So like, if you qualify to live in this complex, you're a veteran or whoever, what type of demographic you're looking for, you can provide certain like, you know, resources, right? Yeah. Social workers, financial people, right? People that are, you know, tied to the VA, right? The VA hospitals or whatever.
Yeah.
You can provide all those services into that apartment complex you have. So now you're knocking out a twofer, right?
Yeah.
They get affordable living. They got some kind of like guidance, some structure in their life again.
That's amazing.
Get them back on their feet, right?
Huge opportunity.
Huge opportunity out there.
So where did that come from? Like, what, was it just born one day? Is it from you being in the military? Like, where did that come from?
I think a lot of it is just being in the military and just seeing a lot of people getting out and kind of losing their way. I was trying to figure out, like, what am I going to do when I quit my job? I'm like, I don't want to just flip houses or like, there's got to be a bigger thing for me.
For sure.
You know, like I think like with the purpose too, because if money was the goal, it's a funny story because you asked me a long time ago, what's your magic freedom number?
Yeah.
And I think you asked a lot of people this. And I was like, I want to make $10,000 a month so I can quit my job.
I remember. Once
you hit that number, what happens? Like, what's next, right? Like, I've hit that number and then I'm like, okay, let's up the number and let's up the number. And it's like, there's nothing else, right? I need a goal. I need to do something. You know, I thought about education, teaching people how to do real estate, be financially free. But then I'm like, man, I think that's more of a vehicle to help me because I probably need, you know, capital, the connections to do the things that I want to do, like to build that community for veterans and stuff. And I thought about it for a long time. I've been thinking about it for the last like 6-7 months, figuring out like what I really want to do with my life and like the skills that I've gathered for good. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's been a journey. Like, you know, I think about it a lot. Like, you know, I don't know exactly where it's going to go, what it's going to look like, but I know that, you know, I'm trying to take actionable steps every single day towards it. I don't know how it was born.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just a part of the journey and like what I really care about. Like, obviously, I've been in the military for almost 10 years, my whole adult life. And I just want to help people, man, that's been in a bad spot. So, you know, they serve their country and all this stuff and just trying to give back in some sort of way. That's figure amazing. It out. I'll figure it out one day.
And I love that you and I'm going to call it early because, you know, you've only been investing a few years. So early in the game have gotten past the money goal and went to a purpose goal. Because I think the sooner any of us find that, the more free we become. Because I was several years just stuck upping the number, and that becomes a very monotonous cycle. But when it's a purpose goal, you know, when it's about helping, like we're going to do a charity raise out here and give everyone an opportunity to donate to a charity. And when we do that, that to me is so much deeper than, don't get me wrong, I love making money. I love making sales. It's fun.
Of course, yeah.
But it's so powerful when you can take and change someone's life in that way.
Oh, man. When you see the lights turn on,
bro,
you've probably had thousands of conversations with like young investors.
Yeah.
And you open their mind to like a whole different world and you see the light turn on in their eyes.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
It's neat seeing that ripple effect. You know, I always ask, who's more important, the one that changed a life or the one that spoke into the one that changed the life?
Yeah.
You know? And so for years, and I still love speaking to people, I love sharing and seeing people impacted. When I look at, you know, our 42 mastermind community members, in a way, every single one of them, if I can speak into them at a higher level, rather than giving to them halfway and then being worried about speaking to these next 100 million, what if I can speak into them at the highest level and they can truly step into their power and their purpose, they might reach 200 million.
Yeah. That is so true.
And I think that's what you're doing with this veteran, you're number one, doubling your efforts, which I love. You're doubling your real estate investing efforts and making it a mission centered. But then you're touching these lives who 22 a day. It doesn't take very many 22 a day till before long you've impacted a whole world, man.
It's crazy, right?
Wow.
It's a crazy number to think about. And that, what you said, makes a lot of sense, man. Like imagine like we put 100 people in this building, right? And that's just the first building.
Yeah.
And then they become like pioneers of like their next life. And who knows what they're going to do, right? Like what if they took their lives and, you know, nothing comes of it? But if they get back on their feet, just one person that sees the light in their eyes, who knows what they're going to do with their life, right? Maybe they're going to impact 1,000 lives just themselves, right?
And have you read the book, The Tipping Point?
Yeah, actually.
Bro.
Yeah, incredible.
Once you think about it as a virus, a good virus, but a virus, and you realize like it's literally good is contagious.
It is.
Like if I can literally help enough other people get what they want, and when you really begin to live that and assist that spreading, I've seen people who hoard it in. And even if they are successful financially, they're always miserable.
Yeah, they're grumpy.
Bro.
Let it out.
The most generous people I know are the most pleasant people I know.
I think it's like if you are a hoarder of anything, of education or like, you know, experience, whatever, when you give it out to people, the people around you are going to lighten up.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to lighten up. And then you imagine like a room full of people that are all bright. The person down the hallway is going to see that and be like, hey, I'm a pretty good guy. Can I join in?
Right.
And you kind of like, that's how you kind of like surround yourself with like better, cooler, genuine people, because the way you act attracts that type of person.
Yeah.
If you're a negative Nancy, you think anyone nice wants to hang out with you? I'm not going to hang out with you. Right?
That's what I tell people. I say you can't chase success. Because if you're not the person who will attract it, you're never going to have it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But once you become the person who attracts success,
it's gonna come to you.
Like it literally just comes to you. And for someone who doesn't yet get it, they're going, what the heck? What do you mean attract success? But then somebody else just had the breakthrough and was like, I bought somebody's coffee in line this morning, and I smiled at somebody, and I already seen the reciprocity come back.
Yeah.
And it starts to make sense in the little things. He goes, wait a minute, what if I part with this money and this comes back? What if I part with this information and this comes? You can never I say you can never outgive God. Like the more you put out, the more you're
going to get.
Bro, it's impossible. It's a law of sowing and reaping.
I'll tell you, you know, I think, and also like the way you live, if you're like a penny pincher and you're like, man, I have this money to do X, Y, Z to give back, and then you don't, right? I just feel like you're just not as happy.
So true.
You're just like, you're worrying about saving your, you know, little nest egg of money, but dude, go live, man. Go live your dream, right? Go live your life. There's just so much more than just holding a sack of money like, who's that guy? Ebenezer Scrooge, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of crazy. So
it's 10 years from now, and you, your wife, your beautiful kids by then.
Yeah, hopefully, right?
your family, your real estate portfolio. You've helped many veterans. You've saved many dozens, if not hundreds, from suicide. What are you doing, or what's going on in your world at that point 10 years from now?
And how old will I be? I'll be 41, 42. Shoot, man. I mean, I think about this a lot too.
Yeah.
Man, 10 years from now, definitely this affordable housing thing will be definitely live. And hopefully, you know, multiple type of buildings. I do have a dream of teaching people as well. I feel like I may not be,
Somebody else is having a good time.
I just feel like I got like the imposter syndrome right now. Like I feel like I need to focus on the one bigger thing first, but I would like to teach people how we get to find deals and find that financial freedom for them so that we can take that burden off their plate so then they can go achieve their dreams.
Question for you. Where does that imposter syndrome come from?
And I feel like you're deep diving into my soul, brother. I think a lot of it is like, I think my years of experience. I really haven't been in the game for too long. There's always more to learn. And also, if I had students, like I would feel pressured to like make sure that they're successful. Like I know like you have students and stuff. So like I feel like I would get nervous, be like, oh man, like what if I'm not a good teacher? Right? Like I have the knowledge in my brain, but I can't like articulate it.
Can I flip that belief on its head for you?
Yeah, let's do it.
So first off, that imposter syndrome will never change until we internally change. I thought I would lose it at 20 deals, and then I thought I'd lose it at 100, and then I thought I'd lose it at 300, and then I thought I'd lose it at 5, and it never changed.
You always had it?
Never. Always stick around until when Leo and I became great friends, he started encouraging me to really step into my power in a new level. And the first thing is, when I was worried about am I doing enough, it was about me. Don't get me wrong. We obsess over our community's success.
Absolutely.
I mean, nonstop.
Yeah.
You can't go more than a day or two without us going, how can we help them improve? So we are constantly obsessing. So there is that side of it. But on the other hand, there is the guru and there is the host. One of our mentors taught us this, one of our great friends, Dan Fleischman. And when I realized you need to be a host, I want to be a host more than a guru. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've done hundreds of deals and people may come in because of me, but they stick around because of the community. That means we're a great host.
Yeah.
And once I took away the guru in my mind and became the host, all pressure left because our community started helping and impacting each other. They still draw from our knowledge, of course.
Yeah, but they have people around them that...
Not all pressure's on me. Now, can I help every one of them do deals? Absolutely. But are they going to excel more when they joint venture up? And when the community outgrows me, I have succeeded.
You've won. You did it.
Bro, I'm telling you, that breakthrough, you realize, hey, you've done some deals and I am just transparent about it. I'd rather go in transparent, whether I'm buying a house, selling a house, or interviewing a potential mastermind member, I'm going to just be transparent about it. And I remember a long time ago, about 4 years ago, I had somebody interviewing for one of our programs. And they said, how do I know that you're the right mentor? And I said, you don't, and neither do I. You know right now what you need, and you've just spent 3 days seeing me teach what I have. If you believe that what I have can help you get to where you need to go, then I'm the right one. If not, then I'm not. And once you can detach from that outcome, it's no longer pressure.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
You know, when somebody says to me, why should I sell you my house? Like, I don't know that you should. In fact, if it's going to keep you awake at night, I don't want you to. You should not. But if this is the best option, you're going to net more by selling to me than any other way, then you should consider it. And I'm okay with whatever that outcome is.
Yeah.
What goes through your mind when I share that?
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, man. Because, like at the end of the day, it's like, you know, it's up to the person to trust me, right? And
it's up to you to be the person who's trustable.
Correct. And, like, if you trust me and you actually give it your all, and I'm trying to do the same, odds are we're going to both succeed in this venture.
I realized my deepest challenge was when I was so insecure was I was worried people would find out who I was.
What do you mean by that?
Not that I was bad. I had a genuine, caring, kind heart, but I had been financially taken advantage of on many occasions. And I think I felt if someone seen my kindness, they might take advantage of it. If someone seen that and this is going to sound stupid, but it's the way it is, seen that I only done 500 deals or seen that I only had a portfolio of, 100 doors. They seen I only did X, like immediately. What if they thought I had 500 doors and they found out I only had 100?
Oh.
What if they thought I had 1,000? Now, I don't say I've done more than I have, but I think in my mind, I always had this thing about what if I let someone down? Once I lead with transparency, there's nothing you can find it out about me that I give a crap about.
That's true.
I am who I am. My mission and purpose is to help people improve their relationship with themselves, with God, and with money.
Yep.
That's who I am and what I do. That doesn't fit your vibe, then I'm not your guy.
Yeah.
Once I could come to terms with that, bro, everything becomes so freeing.
I love that, dude. I love that. I'm man. I feel like after today, I'm going to run back and start this program.
You should. You should. And I don't know what that means for you, Tim. I don't know what that means for you. I just know that you are a giver and you're a trainer. And not until you open your mouth and speak and educate on another level are you going to attract the community that is going to help you build this world-changing empire that you're embarked on.
Yeah, what you're saying, that last part you said, building that community that's going to ultimately help us achieve that goal. Like, that is huge.
That is the difference maker.
That is huge.
Until you are in until you're ready to take ownership of that, whatever that looks like. And it doesn't have to be, I think we get caught up in our minds of what that looks like. In the beginning, it may be you and 10 guys at breakfast.
Yeah.
Right? It may be you and, 50 other people here. It may be who knows what. I have no idea what that means.
Yeah.
But I think once we step into that, then it reveals itself.
We just got to take the leap.
Got to take the leap. That's the difference maker, brother.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and it's all about who we're surrounded by. You're in the right place at the right time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is so big, man, being surrounded by the right people. If you're surrounded by just like negative energy and disbelief, it's kind of like, man, you're cramping my style, man, right?
Yeah.
You got to surround yourself with the right folk.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So somebody out here, they're on the fence. They've been wanting to go maybe start their own meetup. They've been wanting to go get their first deal. They've been wanting to pursue their mission and they're stuck. What are you telling them?
Man, you don't do it alone. I try to do it alone myself with my first fix and flip and didn't really go well. And my success really took off when I found a community, right? So that's the biggest thing. Being surrounded, we keep talking about being surrounded by the right people, but you actually need to find those people. So how do you find those people? You go to real estate meetups. You go to networking events. You go to these things that we're about to speak on a panel right now to educate, a bunch of new investors.
In the other room, people are already gathering.
In the other room. That's the first step. Surround yourself with the right people. Second step, you got to take action. And what does that mean for you? It means a different thing for everybody else. But if you're trying to buy your first property on the MLS, right? We're not talking about like investing or whatever. What do you got to do? You got to call real estate agents. Go screen a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Takes 10 minutes of your day. Go make those calls. And if you need someone to like get on your butt about it, call me and Andrew.
That's right.
We will get your butt calling those people. Okay.
Speaking of, how do they find you?
Man, find me on Instagram. It's Tim Yu. So it's ITS and then my name. Real
Okay,
easy.
cool.
Find me on Instagram. Shoot me a message. I'm really responsive. We post content like almost every day. We're trying to get there every day, but we love giving out free value. Reach out to us. We'll help you out with your first deal. Like, we'll help you close a deal, all that stuff. So
Tim's killing it. Go check him out.
go check me out, and looking forward to connecting with everybody.
Thanks so much for being with us today, man.
Dude, thanks for
This is
inviting
so
me,
much
man.
fun.
This is awesome getting to chat with you, brother.
Yeah, we're going to have a fun time, and I'm ready to go get on a panel.
Let's go. Let's go
do
have
it.
some fun.